thank you very much, everyone, for coming. So yeah, really appreciate everyone making the effort to drop in. This is the 6th in our monthly webinar series, AI in Action, where we look at AI that's being used locally within Jersey and really kind of practical AI implementation, not massive projects, just really cutting through and doing stuff that adds value very quickly. So this webinar is a little bit different from the ones we've done before, because this is relating to Swoop, which was a mortgage comparison platform that we created here at Blue Llama very recently. It's only been live for about a month or so, just 5 or 6 weeks actually. And the subject really is not the platform itself today, but how the platform was built and the approach that we took. And then what is the implications for other small businesses here in Jersey, in that they could do similar things. The puppy's just waking up now. So just a little bit of housekeeping. Everyone could take their switch their audio off. If you do have any questions that pop up in your mind, if you could add them to the chat, and then myself and Dave's a fellow Vibe coder, we can answer those questions at the end. So let's kick things off. So in terms of today's flow, so just a quick intro to Blue Llama if you don't know who we are, and then we'll look at the Swoop story. So like, you know, how did Swoop come about, and the journey we went through there. Then we'll talk about what vibe coding is, or AI assisted development. That's a more sort of professional term, and we'll do a little bit of a demo on that to show you what's possible very quickly. And then talk about sort of, the implications of this vibe coding and what it can mean for your business. What are the opportunities that exist? And then, as I said, at the end, there'll be some Q&A with myself and Dave to answer any questions that you might have. So if we start off, so what does Blue Llama do? So I was always told in 3 words, you should describe your company and people will remember it. If it's more than 3 words, they won't remember what you do. So what we do is AI-powered productivity. You could argue that's 2 words, couldn't you, I suppose? So what that means is we look at your business and see how we can make it more productive, more efficient, using AI and using automation. So we do things like process automation, which is looking at how your business does certain processes, breaking them down and seeing how we can automate them by bringing systems together, and then use AI to make decision making. We also build AI assistants, which like empower your team to have knowledge quicker. So things like, you know, build it like ChatGPT, but built on your company's knowledge. We can also do AI assistance for external, for your customers, so they can know about your products and services and ask questions of those and get answers very quickly. And then also what we do is this kind of AI assisted development. So building tools for your business, using AI to make that process faster and more efficient. So, so let's kick off with Swoop, and rather than talk about it, well, I am actually talking about it in this video, but rather than talk about it here now, I will just press play on this and you can learn a little bit about Swoop in 30 seconds.
In Jersey, finding the right mortgage can feel overwhelming. With so many options, it's hard to know where to start. Swoop.je compares mortgage products from all Jersey lenders to help you find the best ones for your situation. It's free, simple, and updated daily. Swoop.je, compare Jersey mortgages in seconds.
Okay, so very quickly, so Swoop is a mortgage comparison website. We take the 7 different lenders in the island. There's about 300 different configurations of products. We scrape that information from those websites nightly, and then we allow people to access that information and filter it how they want, so they can find the best mortgage product for their needs. So it's a front end that you see, but there's also quite a sophisticated back end which manages those products, the scheduling of those updates, referrals to the lenders, and then also manages ads as well. So there's quite a lot going on in that platform that we created. So how did Swoop come about? So it started with a bit of frustration. I bought a house about 18 months ago, and I found a lovely house that I was really interested in. I had already gone to a couple of the banks to see what they would lend me, but I was in a bit of a hurry, so I went to a mortgage broker over here and I asked them, like, you know, what is my best solution? And they basically told me some bad advice, and they said that one of the lender that I ultimately went with, that they wouldn't go with me because I'm self-employed. They said that my accounts needed to be newer than they were, and they basically said don't bother with HSBC. I went to the bank direct soon afterwards, and they gave me the mortgage, and I got my house. So it was a bit of a bad experience, and I was like, well, there must be a better way of this. You know, in the UK, you have these mortgage comparison websites, but there's nothing like that in Jersey. So I looked into it, and I was like, well, okay, it's a very small market here. To actually make this profitable would be really, really difficult. So I parked that idea. Then I had an aha moment a few months later. So I think it was probably about this time last year, ChatGPT came out with deep research, which allowed you to send a query to ChatGPT, and then it would go out to the internet and take 5-10 minutes to bring back some sort of research report. So I thought, oh, this would be a good idea. I'll test it on mortgage products. So I did the prompt, I sent it out, it came back with some information. It wasn't great, but it was quite interesting. It came back, it said there was like 4 or 5 different lenders when actually there's 7, but it had got some of the information right and it could structure it into like a table. And then I thought, well, okay, if we identify who those lenders are, we go like, give me the mortgage rates for HSBC, give me the mortgage rates for Barclays. And then it started doing a much better job at it. It still needed some work, prompt needed to be quite long, but I got to the place where I could actually get it to provide decent information and structure that information. And I was like, this is quite interesting. You know, is there a product developing here? But then I thought about it a little bit more. And even though we've got a team of developers here at Blue Llama, the cost to create for us, the cost to create a platform to sort of house all that information and do what we needed to do would still be about £50,000. So I was like, yeah, that's still quite a lot of money. I can't see that we would be guaranteed to get that kind of return on it. So again, I parked the idea. The second aha moment came a few months later. So it would have been probably around the summertime. And I was hearing all about these vibe coding tools. And to begin with, I kind of thought that these are just for existing developers and to help them to code faster. And there are those platforms out there, but there's also platforms out there which you don't really need too much development experience. And I'm certainly not a developer. I work with developers, so I can kind of speak their language. I work with designers, so I understand user experience design. I work with clients to build these kind of products and project manage them. So I'm kind of in a good place that I can communicate to people about building these tools. So I thought, I'm in a good situation here, and it's something that I wanted to explore anyway. And it's quite a fun thing to be able to build tools quite quickly. So I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. Let's take this idea that I have this mortgage comparison website for the island, and let's try and vibe code it. So off we went. And then the third sort of aha moment was, well, let's not just take an AI first approach to the development, but let's look at it for the whole entire business. You know, how can we use AI to cut costs and add value to the customer? So what did we do? Well, the AI first approach we took. So for the platform, it's built using AI assisted development. So completely vibe coded, not one line of code was written by hand. So a year ago, you would have had to build that very, very differently. You would need skilled developers to build it. Now we're doing it using vibe coding. We're using AI to scrape, as I said before, to scrape and structure the mortgage data. So it goes out each night. It looks at the different websites from the different lenders. It takes that information and it structures into something that can be put into the website. And then we built Morty, the AI chatbot. So not too many people use it, but you can. There's a little icon of the seagull, our friend Morty, that you can ask him questions about mortgages. So a lot of people we're seeing on the website are first-time buyers, don't really have much experience about mortgages, so it's a way to educate them. On the business side, so we used AI to write the page content for the website. We used it to draft legal agreements, so with the lenders, with our advertisers, privacy policies, all that kind of stuff. The video that you saw before, completely AI generated, that drone footage of some Brallards Bay, completely AI. And then we've also used it for marketing support. I should say what we didn't use AI for is for the branding, so the development of the Swoop branding. Thanks STS Graphics, Steve Slattery, for that. And then also for the design. So I still don't think that AI is brilliant at design work. So we did use our in-house designer to create the front-end design. And here we are. So 3 months later from the kind of starting on the development, the website's been launched for us, I think 5 or 6 weeks. We've got one lender, Butterfield, on board who are paying us referral fees. We have another lender that we're onboarding at the moment, and then several other lenders that I'm still in discussion with. My puppy's barking now. We have 4 advertisers who are paying us monthly amounts of money. Shush. And we're looking to launch in Guernsey and the Isle of Man in Q2. So we're developing the platform further so that we can make it multi-jurisdictional. And more importantly than that, we really are helping people. So as you can see here, we've got the Housing Minister, Sam Mesip, was very complimentary on Twitter to us. And we have some lovely feedback here from some of our customers. So I'm a bit distracted because the puppy's just going mad. So just 1 second. Hey, come on. I knew this was going to happen. So some lovely feedback there. So how was Swoop built? So the difference here is, as I said before, like a year ago, 2 years ago, people would be writing code to create something like this. So they would need to have experience of different coding languages. They would have to have learned all of that and be able to write that. But now we've moved to actually just describing outcomes. So rather than having to write everything by hand, we describe to AI what we want to do. So it's a little bit like ChatGPT, where you type in a prompt and you get some text returned, you get your answer returned. With Vibe coding, you write in a prompt of what you want a tool to look like, to do, and it will create that in real time. So we'll have a look at it in a little second of what I mean by that. And you see the outcome immediately, and then what you do is you refine it, you iterate on it, you say, okay, I don't like how you've done this, can we do this, can we add this feature? And it takes a long time. Yeah, it takes time to get to a really good result, but you don't need to be that technical, and it deploys it immediately. So you see your results, and you can send that. You can create something and then send a link, and someone else can use it, and you can easily deploy it to a domain as well. So the tools that we're looking at, so these, I wouldn't get too bogged down on which tool to use. They all do a similar thing, although perhaps Claude Code is different. But if you're starting out, Lovable is a good place to start. I have used Lovable. Replit is what we used to build Swoop, and I think that's quite user-friendly as well. Bolt is another one that I've not touched. Claude Code is something that Dave will be doing the Q&As at the end. Claude Code is slightly different. You do kind of need to be a bit more technical with that, but it can be more powerful. And then you've kind of got VS Code from Microsoft, which again, I think requires a bit more technical background. And then you've got Anti-Gravity, which is kind of a new tool from Google, which hasn't been out for too long and I haven't really experimented with. But those are the main tools. There are other ones out there, but those are probably the main tools to look at. But if you're starting out, Lovable and Replit would be my recommendation. So what can you actually build with these? Well, it started off, I would have said, like 6 months ago, a year ago, when they first came out. They were good for prototyping. So building something basic, having a go at something before you got serious about it, before you started to build it really and invest in it and get developers involved. But now I think we've got to a point, or we're certainly going to get there very quickly, that you can build production ready stuff like we have with Swoop. We've gone and we've allowed people to access it for real. So I think you can build all sorts of things: dashboards, internal systems, micro SaaS platforms where you don't need like lots of people using it because the costs are so low. You can, you don't need so many users to make it profitable, and then consumer products like Swoop. So what I'm going to do now is like a micro demo. So if you see this, I think if I just if I read it out to you. So this is a prompt that I'm going to send to Replit, and I've logged into Replit. That's all I've done. There's nothing that I've configured in the background. This would be as if you created a new Replit account from fresh, and I'm just going to provide it with this prompt. So I want it to build a modern single-page web app called Jersey Employment Cost Forecast Tool that helps SMEs to estimate total employment cost, including employer social security contributions. Project this forward over multiple years, 3, 5, 10 years, with salary growth estimates. Use this advice from Gov.je, and then the app should allow up to 5 employers with their name, current salary, expected growth, blah, 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 blah. So all we're going to do is copy and paste this into Replit. So if I just share this tab, you should now see Replit. So as I said, this is the first screen you'll see when you go into Replit, and you just prompt this in here and then press start. And what you'll see, so similar to ChatGPT, you've got your kind of conversation on the left-hand side, where you would, after it's come back and done something with this prompt that you provided it to, you can then iterate on. You can then ask it to do additional stuff or change, blah, blah, blah. And after a while, on the right-hand side here, you will start seeing that the actual product that I've asked it to create. But that's probably going to take 5 or 10 minutes. You can see it started working on it already. So we'll come back to that later in the presentation and see what it comes up with. And I have run this prompt before, but like everything with AI, it might take a completely different angle. So it doesn't do the same thing every time. So we'll see how that goes. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's just go back to the presentation. 1 second. Okay, so yeah, this vibe coding thing is super powerful, but it's not magic. You still need to have clear specifications. You still need to think about it from an architecture perspective. So, you know, looking at the whole thing and how you structure it, you need to know a little bit, in my opinion, especially if you're building a bigger tool like Swoop, you need to think about user experience and put yourself in the place of the user using it, and you know how that user journey should flow. And then you so importantly need to test and iterate, test and iterate, test and iterate. Really important things, and a real discipline that's needed, I think, with vibe coding to get a good product. So what does this vibe coding, what does this new way of creating digital tools mean for your business? So the economics have changed, I think. So this is looking at Swoop. How I see on the sort of dark blue column there is what it would have cost us in 2024 to develop something like Swoop, even if we could, because there may be elements like that we couldn't have even done. And then 2025, when Swoop was developed towards the end of the year, what it actually cost us and how we approached it. So I think it would have cost us about £50,000 plus to develop Swoop from just a development perspective, when it actually, I think the puppy's destroying something in the background, but I'll continue. Yeah, it cost us about £1,500 in AI credits paid to Replit. The time frame, I think looking at this now, I think 6 months would have been a good time frame, maybe 3 months for an internal tool like that. But if we were doing it for a client, it probably would have taken 6 months. Whereas with AI assisted development, we're talking about 4 weeks. You need a complete project team. You need a front end developer. You need a back end developer, project manager. You need a UX designer, and then you need someone like you need the client or myself to be involved with that. AI assisted, it was just me in front of Replit, and then obviously, as I said before, we used our designer, but we can actually feed the design to Replit as well. There's a Figma integration, so you can feed it directly, that design. With a traditional build, with that project team and everything, I probably, as the person who's kind of has the idea and needs to to communicate that idea, I probably would have spent about 50 hours, I imagine, over those 6 months, giving my feedback, testing it myself. Whereas in total, I spent 100 hours developing it, testing it, iterating, developing, testing, iterating. And then the project approach that we took, so we would normally take waterfall or agile if we were building something like this of this scale, whereas with AI assisted build, I think we're looking at this evolutionary development. So you create something, you look at it, you go, okay, it'd be lovely to have this, and so you don't have to start completely with the end. You don't have to have a complete specifications of what you want. It can develop over time and evolve. So I suppose the idea itself hasn't changed, but the economics certainly has. So just one thing to note with vibe coding, with this AI assisted development, 80% of it happens really, really fast. And you can get a result super quick. You can see the results in front of you. You can iterate on that quickly. There's, and within a couple of minutes, it will have made that change for you. So 80% is really, to get 80% there is super, super quick. But I would say that 20%, it takes real patience and care to create something which is solid and refined. And as I said, test, refine it, and then these edge cases, thinking about what could go wrong, and making sure all of that is covered. So the thinking barrier remains. So you still need to do your business analysis. You still need the systems thinking. You need to understand the data structure, have an idea of how all the data in the background might be shaped into different database tables. You need user experience judgment, so understanding how a user is going to use it and make sure it's as best as possible. You don't want to have someone have to do 5 clicks when they only need to do 2, and then that testing discipline. So a bit of a summary. So before AI assisted development, there was always a large upfront investment. You'd have to commit to that. If you backed out, you lost all that money. There's a long time before you got any validation, before you saw any result, before you knew if it was going to be a decent product or not. And you could only really, because of all that time and effort that was required, you could only do one major project at a time. Now, I think we've got a lower upfront cost, as you've seen before with Swoop and those figures, smaller financial exposure, faster validation. You're seeing the results of your labor really, really quickly, and you kind of get an understanding whether it makes sense or not, the product that you're creating. And you can also run multiple experiments at a time, and you can take different approaches and go, okay, well, this one's not really working, is it? But this one's, this one's really got potential, and then you can focus in on that particular one that's working. So yeah, instead of betting 50 grand on one idea, you can experiment. And this is where competitive advantage really starts to shift. So with this vibe coding, with this AI assisted development, what is the opportunity for Jersey small to medium-sized enterprises? So you got the internal side of things, the internal opportunity. So you could be looking at building custom internal dashboards, bespoke apps for a business process. So you do something that's completely unique for you. It's quite a manual process using spreadsheets, emails, blah, 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 blah. You can now package that together and build an application to do that very bespoke process for you. A lot of businesses we look at have like old legacy systems that it's like, oh, it's such a big frustration for them to recreate them. Like they haven't done it for years. They know they should do, but the cost and the time effort is considerable. Perhaps now it's time to look at that. Can these be vibe coded, and can you replace them a lot cheaper than you could before? So other companies we use, like UK and US centric, account for the Jersey nuances of social security and different tax systems, different laws, all these kind of things. So we've kind of had to we have workarounds or something. So is it now time that you can look at this and build a tool that does stuff exactly as you need to in Jersey, or can the workaround be streamlined? And then creating customer portals, so allow your customers access to information and use vibe coding to bring in data from different sources and do stuff with it to present that to the customer. So a few opportunities exist there. And then external opportunities for people outside of your company. So again, like, are there Jersey specific platforms? So there's like trust companies and fund administration companies and those kind of businesses that there might not be too many of them out there, but so before it wasn't economical to create software specifically for them, but now is that possible? Now that the costs have come down, can you make something? Can you create this micro SaaS platform that will serve that niche industry and still be profitable? Other things like data aggregation platforms like what Swoop is, there's just lots and lots of opportunities out there now that the costs have come down and the time. Now, are there downsides to this DIY approach to coding? So yes, there are. So certain things like data and security risk. If you're new to development and you're vibe coding, you might not understand the potential things that could go wrong. Some of these platforms do have security checks and will go through and make sure everything's quite secure, but there's still areas that it's really good to have knowledge about these things because they could get missed. Single point of failure, like I talked about, those kind of access databases that exist and have been in a company for 15 years, and then Fred, who created it, left and no one wants to touch it. That same sort of thing could exist here. If you give the power to someone to create this using vibe coding, there's a single point of failure. It's difficult for someone to come along and try and fix that. There are workarounds, and it's slightly different with vibe coding because you can take that code base, but it's still a bit of a problem. Fragile foundation. So yeah, if someone's new to coding, to creating these kind of platforms, then they might not do a particularly good job, and the fundamentals underneath it might not be great. And then you build upon it, scale it, and then you kind of find out that you've got a bit of a problem to clean everything up and make it more efficient. Kind of related to the single point of failure, there's no clear ownership. So you need to document, you need to spread knowledge about how it's created, and no long-term direction. So I see this quite a lot, that people sort of vibe coding you can do things so quickly that people add on lots of bells and whistles and make something really good, but don't think about what's the core usage, and it just becomes a bit cluttered and a bit nasty and a bit like that user experience, that user journey gets blurred because you can add all this kind of cool stuff very quickly. So hopefully, if we now go back to Replit and have a look at what it has created. The app failed. This is probably one of these situations where it's not it's not going to have worked. But let's have a look. There we go. The workflow failed. Oh. Let's give it a second now. Here we go. Okay, so so we add in an employee here. So this is something that I've obviously not seen before. We add in Mark. He earns £50,000. We expect his annual salary growth to be 4%. Calculate forecast. So here we go. Well, let's add in someone else. So Jane earns 60. Oh. Yeah. Let's just press it. So I did do one this morning. I've never seen this error before, but I did do one this morning. I don't know if Replit's having problems, but it did come up with an error earlier. And I was a bit worried it would do the same, but then I thought, no. Okay, maybe we'll return to that in a little bit and see if it can fix it. We'll just give it a few more seconds. So these things can kind of happen where it'll identify a problem and then you'll need to fix it. But then let's see what it's coming up with here. Okay, let's return to it in a little bit and see if it's being able to fix that problem. So if I just go back to the presentation. Hold on one sec. Yeah, so just to summarize, so we're talking lower risk and smaller bets. So lower upfront build cost, faster validation, and it allows you to iterate and before you find the result for you and scale. So the question, let's just go back quickly to Replit and see if it's, no. Let me try one more time. Okay, so the demonstration didn't work out so well, but maybe we'll go back to that again. But I suppose the question that I want you to think about after this presentation is, what idea, like Swoop, what idea have you parked that could now become a reality? So was there an idea that you thought about, and it'd be great that if this happened, it'd be great if we could do something like this, but you just looked into the economics of it and it's like, no, that's too risky, that wouldn't work. But now those costs have come down. Is there something that you could do either internally or for your customers that could add value for them? So yeah, and another great thing for Jersey businesses is the cost of development has come down, but also Jersey business or the government of Jersey are offering productivity grants. So especially if you're looking at internal products to build, then you know they are definitely talking that's definitely increasing your productivity. So you can apply for a Jersey business productivity grant, and they will fund 50% of that project. So you've got a lower cost of development, and then you're halving that cost of development even further. So the project can be up to £75,000, and they will match. Sorry, the project can be £150,000, and they'll match half of that. So up to £75,000 per project. The productivity grant opened the 31st of January, and there are £2.6 million up for grabs. So really something to think about. It's a really good opportunity to build tools within Jersey businesses right now. On top of that, so we offer 2 per month of these free AI opportunity workshops for local SMEs, and we dig into their business. So we do typically three meetings. We'll do a discovery meeting, and we'll go around, so identifying within your business where there is inefficiencies and there's opportunity for increased productivity. Then we'll go away, do some research, come back to you with loads of questions to kind of iterate on that and get really good solutions. And then we'll do another meeting with you to present our findings and what opportunities exist in your business, and we'll prioritize those and give you a roadmap for how you might want to take those forward. So yeah, we normally have two of these available a month. The next available slot is to start on the Friday, the 20th of March, and myself and Anish, who's our AI and automation lead, will sit with you and walk you through our process. And as I said, it will give you a lovely roadmap to identify where AI can be, get opportunity in your business, and it also kind of helps us in, like, we refine our process, we learn about different businesses, and we find out different opportunities that can exist because this AI thing is quite new for us. Sorry, I'm just checking. My puppy is just destroying stuff. I might have to grab her in a second. So yeah, if you're interested in that, obviously we've got that one on the 20th of March, but we'll have future ones as well. So do drop me an email, phil@bluellama.co.uk, and we'd be absolutely delighted to work with any businesses in Jersey. We're kind of looking at 10+ people businesses, because I think that's where these kind of efficiencies really start to take form. Brilliant. Okay, I am going to pick up a puppy and just save a USB stick that she's gonna destroy. But yes, I don't know if there's any questions in the chat, but yeah. Well, actually, first of all, if I just introduce Dave. So Dave, if you want to introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about yourself before we go into, I've just seen a puppy management app would be a great idea. Yes, thank you.
I feel like your puppy's going to have to go down as a sub-processor of data soon, Phil, if she's a USB stick. Yeah, hey guys, it's a very brief introduction. As Phil's mentioned, my name's Dave. I don't work at Blue Llama. I work for a local SaaS business called Pinpoint, where we are working with over 930 companies globally in the HR tech space, managing applicant tracking. And my background kind of in joining Phil on this is from a vibe coding perspective in a sort of side project angle, but also actually kind of the next level is we are doing not so much vibe coding per se, but AI assisted engineering a lot in a B2B SaaS business that is used, as I said, by over 900 companies with tens of thousands of business users a day. So kind of crossing the gamut from sort of side hobby project for 5 hours on a Saturday through to actually what our bread and butter is and how we now think and view about our coding processes in a live production, very highly sensitive data product as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dave. So there are quite a few questions in the chat. So the first one is, what are the safeguards in place for code quality and coding standards? What support does this approach provide for proper testing? What's the support model? Who is going to be sued if a solution breaks or is breached? Quite a few questions in there. I would say that, yeah, a lot of that, this approach is quite new. And if you are someone that is new to coding, then there could be potential problems, and these things would exist in the background without your knowledge. And it's a new frontier. I think things will develop and there will be tools in place to check. Well, there are already some tools in place to check your coding quality and security. But yeah, if you're going production with it, then I would still recommend sort of normal pen testing. And you can take the code out of these tools and provide them to normal developers to look over. But yeah, they're still in development, and these are still can be issues if you're not a coder. Anything to add to that one, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's an obvious question to ask, and it should be a question that you continue to ask, and you should ask of any human that's coding, because I've seen some terrible engineers in my time that have created some huge security vulnerabilities. Yeah, absolutely. The danger is people walking into this blindly and not actually understanding that there are security risks. I think there are additional tools. Claude Code and Claude itself has just brought out a security vulnerability analysis tool. That's effectively doing static analysis, so actually looking through code. And I've actually used it once in anger on a business that was having some issues and concerned about their actual human engineers and how they built something. And I got an exceptionally good report that probably would have taken a pen tester 2 to 3 days and charged me £10,000. And it showed some clear vulnerabilities that human engineers had done in half an hour with sensitive data. So, like, conversely, AI can be used to also do pen testing, but this does not mitigate against security. But again, humans themselves are also hugely fallible. So you should always be having this front and center when you're developing any product, whether it's vibe coded or not.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. Alex, well, Al's question was fairly similar to the first one. So if we just go with Alex's, what would you say are the biggest gotchas for a non-technical vibe coder that should be aware of and look and seek professional advice? Dave?
I think, Alex, is a great question, because like I kind of come from the opposite end of the spectrum, where I was a terrible engineer but managed software engineers for pretty much most of my career, and kind of had a lot of technical understanding and first principle understanding, and now come from that angle. I think what I have definitely seen, and what we've seen as a team across Pinpoint, where we're like 25 engineers, is the real art to a lot of this stuff is just having curiosity and inquisitiveness, but also trying to understand the building blocks of what it takes to build a web application, because the principles do not change. This is just methodologies changing. And I think you still need to have if you're going to go into building any product. I used to consult for VC funds that had invested in tech companies, and I just got frustrated by the amount of founders that didn't even know what their engineers were building. And I think that holds true to whether you're, a VC-backed company or you're doing a project. At least have the curiosity to go and understand what a database is. What is the client actually doing, your browser versus the database versus the server? And I think the more you just have an inquisitive nature, and again, nowadays it's never been easier to just have this back and forth kind of Socratic learning method in ChatGPT or Claude Desktop and ask these questions and be inquisitive. But also the other big I got is be less precious about having to feel like you understand everything, because actually the feedback loop is every time you're getting an error, chuck it straight back in at the AI, and it's actually phenomenally good at then basically recursively fixing its own errors. Because sometimes people go, oh my God, I've never debugged code in my life. It's come up with this gobbledygook that I don't understand. But actually don't get scared or put off by a horrible error message, chuck it straight back into the AI and just keep trying to gradually iterate forward. I think it's probably my sort of starter for 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like it comes quite naturally to me, and I think Dave, you've been a product manager as well. Like because we deal with this day to day, we talk the right language to be able to talk to the AI as if we were a developer or UX designer, front end developer. So yeah, we kind of think, oh, this is really easy. But then I've sat with other people who are not in this space, and it's a lot more difficult for them, and I can see how they could get frustrated. And so yeah, as Dave says, the puppy is just having zoomies right now all over the place. I don't know if you can see her in the background. Sorry, I'm fairly distracted. Yeah, so yeah, the learning and getting an understanding of these kind of things. What are databases? What database structures? I don't know if you can hear the barking. I think it cuts it out. So yeah, being inquisitive absolutely is a real bonus. Yeah. So from Will, have you managed to find workarounds for some of the common solutions tool sets where Jersey seems to be excluded as a jurisdiction? Azure and Stripe come to mind. I mean, with Stripe, well, Azure's like a hosting platform, and then Stripe is a payment processor. She's trying to pull out leads now. Dave, can you take this one?
Yeah, Will, hello. I hope you're well. Yes, we have got Seb Lawson on here. He'll hate this, but at least we've got representation from Digital Jersey, because your Stripe question is a brilliant one, Will. And something I've been just trying to get for the last 7 years. In defense of Digital Jersey and Seb, is very much a market position. Jersey just is not deemed a big enough market for Stripe, sadly. And when I used to be working in e-commerce, all I wanted was Stripe. No, there is no workaround other than potentially get advice about a UK company if you need to go down that angle. Azure, I'm not actually sure of limitations, because at work we don't use Azure. And I typically don't use Azure. I'm surprised that there are limitations, to be honest, on that kind of infra side, but I'm not sure what service you may have been referring to on Azure itself.
Yeah, I think these platforms, you know, these are massive global platforms, and you're not going to replace those kind of things. It's where you're looking at, you know, just software that maybe doesn't, you know, small software that doesn't accommodate Jersey specific things. Though I don't know if it could be something relating to calculating VAT. There's products out there that do that, but then when you're looking at GST, you know, it doesn't work out for you. So so yeah, there could be opportunities there, but I think these global platforms you're not going to replace. Jerry said, do you see the code, database tables, etc.? How do you debug it? So yeah, absolutely. If you are from a code background, then you can dig into the code. That's absolutely fine. I believe you can edit the code manually. In terms of the database, yeah, I'm talking from Replit here. That's my experience. But yes, you can view the database. You can do SQL update statements and all that kind of stuff. I used to be an Oracle DBA, so so that has been something that I've done a little bit of. So yes, it's all available to you, and you can take the code. It's, you know, it's building the code using languages that you can migrate the code somewhere else and take the project out of Replit if you want to. So yes, anything to add there, Dave?
Yeah, the only, I'd say, Jerry, just from a technology point of view, the sort of lovables, v0s, etc., bolts, they tend to use Next.js and TypeScript. So obviously, if you're au fait with those, then you'll be absolutely at home in debugging it. When you go kind of the next level down into something more like a Claude Code and Terminal or what have you, you have complete control over your architectural choice. I think also Swoop.je tends to be the database provider that a lot of these platforms, these vibe coding platforms, are using as well. But obviously, the next level down is where you are choosing your architectural decisions and technologies, and that's kind of the world is your oyster because it's on your local machine and you have complete autonomy. That is AI assisted engineering rather than the vibe coding, sort of higher level up abstraction.
Perfect, thank you. Ben asked, if you have built a prototype, can you extract the code into a repository and provide it to a developer? Yes, absolutely you can. Yeah, so it's got GitHub. Well, again, I'm talking about Replit. It's got GitHub integration, Bitbucket integration. So yeah, by a click of a button, it will push that code out there. You can then make changes within there and then push it back to Replit, I believe. So yeah, absolutely.
Different developers like different styles. I'm sure a developer will love you giving a 90% product to try and work out. It could be, I mean, to be honest, it'll be very messy because they'd likely end up using AI to review the code, to actually update the code. But there is sometimes a risk, obviously, depending on what the engineer's philosophy or toolset is as to whether they can actually help, but it can definitely be done.
Yeah. So Will, another question. These tools are great for creating a product, but tend not to address go-to-market part of the problem. Yes, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we kind of touched upon that bit as well. With Swoop, we have gone to market. It was completely done by Replit. I think these tools are developing. I think the term vibe coding is changing, and it's more like AI assisted development. It's like, I think we're in the infancy, right? They've not been around for too long. I think vibe coding, the actual term, was coined in February or something of last year, so we're just a year into it. So I think we're moving from that sort of prototype into production ready tools. And I know the guy behind Replit who runs it is looking at this whole idea of citizen developers. So he's not, his market, he thinks, is not about providing developers with vibe coding tools. It's providing anyone with vibe coding tools to create production ready software. But yeah, we're still not there yet.
I think I mean, it touches on a sort of wider business point. To be fair, is like I don't think that go-to-market has always been the hardest part of a business, and especially a product-based business, whether you're engineering physical widgets or whether you're creating a SaaS business. It's the action and the product market fit and the scaling is still the hard part of business. And I think that will continue to be a hard part. AI can obviously now assist you with assets. I think, Phil, what you've done with Swoop's really interesting is it's not just like, from my perspective as being product manager, I'm just always focused on the product side of things, but actually with Swoop, you've got this nice 360 usage of AI across marketing assets, planning, etc. So I think, AI itself can help in those parts, but no, the actual vibe coding itself does not. You still need to have a good idea and a good understanding. And if anything, it becomes more important than ever because every man and his dog can now start to do this. But you need to be the one with the best understanding of the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, for sure. Puppy management app. I would love that. Yeah, she's chewing on a plug. Fortunately, that plug is unplugged, so she's not going to electrocute herself. But yes, if you've got any ideas on how that could work, I'm all ears. Milo, from the perspective of a business just starting their AI journey, what's the simplest first step you'd recommend, and how did you build trust with your very first clients when AI was still new to them? Really good question. So I would say, small steps is good. Experimentation. So certainly what we recommend in terms of process automation is like, take a really small process, but a valuable one with obvious benefit, and look to just do that. And then hopefully, well, if you do it with us, it will definitely get return on investment, and people will start picking up and going, well, that was good. What can we do next? And then the snowball gets bigger. So take a small first step. you could take us up on our opportunities assessment there, where we sort of dig into your business and identify those and those opportunities and sort of prioritize them. But yeah, start small, be easy with people. I think some people are scared of AI, and like, you know, there's a lot of this doom, kind of everyone's jobs is going to be lost. I personally don't think that's the case. And I think, you know, people can be empowered by it. But you've got to understand that there is some people do have that mentality. So being careful, and that's why starting slow and showing benefit early is super useful. Dave, any ideas on that one?
No, I completely get where Milo's kind of coming from with the question, and I think it's like there's a lot of people going blindly into this and then selling snake oil. And Phil absolutely isn't, because I spent hours with Phil, and hence why I said I wanted to come and support him on this webinar. But there's a lot of people that have just found vibe coding and now all of a sudden setting up agencies of one man and they're experts. I think it's really having a good knowledge yourself. Any business leader should have a good understanding generally of macro trends going on in their industry and what they're utilizing. And I think being able to ask sensible questions to understand what that person's understanding is of the process. I think there was a good question earlier about data protection, right? And we're dealing with over 100,000 applicants a day across all of our clients' career sites. And like, there's various ways that you can do it, but for instance, it's building and vibe coding without actual any live production or client or customer data, and using synthetic data, and then extracting the code to then bring it into a production system where it's just in your processes. There's also a lot that you can do at a corporate level and an organization level with a lot of these AI providers around not being able to store prompts, not being able to log prompts, not being able to store memories, to be better with data protection, setting up EU data residency options. But I think it's really just showing, like, you need to show that you have an understanding of what the business risks are to this. I think to Phil's point, that's like the overall, how do you view and how do you build AI, and then actually it's showing a small, like, low-hanging fruit opportunity where AI could be brought in. And also, there's sometimes AI is an absolute sledgehammer to a nut, and I think Phil will be the first person as well who's kind of a practitioner in the space, that it's not just AI, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Sometimes AI may not be the best solution, and actually that's the best way to build trust, is understanding what the actual problem is and how best to solve it, not trying to wedge a solution in that's not necessarily the best fit.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of our projects are more automation based than AI, and AI takes a small role in that. So yeah, absolutely. AI is not the solution for everything. I was just having a look at Replit, and it showed me something good, and now it's gone again. So yeah, what I will try and do is oh no, here we go. Look, let's see if this works. So here we go. We have something. Let's put in some names. Oh. Why did I put Pooh in there? Phil and Dave. Dave probably earns a lot more than me.
Not enough, Phil. If Hack, will you watch this later?
Okay, so there you go. Look, so you put in your people, what they're earning. It gives you a nice graph of how things will change. You can change it to be 10 years. You can change it to be 3 years. It gives you trends. It shows you the employee split. Dave gets 100% of the money. Maybe that's not working. Shows you over time what employee social security is. So yeah, it gives you some insights. So there, it finally did do something, and then it's errored again.
Phil, you kind of highlighted like a key thing that I keep saying internally as well, when people get surprised that they've been hoodwinked by AI. Like, I genuinely just have this perception that AI right now is a very smart sort of 16 to 18-year-old assistant that knows nothing other than what I'm telling it, and that is what's referred to as the context. And also it's the supervisory. And anything when you start getting into quantitative work with AI, just in general, whether that's vibe coding or just using ChatGPT, like, never take anything at face value. Like, would you trust a 16-year-old assistant that's a work experienced person, like, on their first pass at a job, or would you check it yourself? Always check it, validate it, and then there are ways that you can make this repeatable. That's kind of out of scope of this, but yeah, I think it's that, having that mentality in your head that this is a probability machine is all this is built on. All large language models are doing is being trained on the whole internet, and it's just guessing the best next token of word or word that it's going to place next, whether that's in a code context, whether that's writing you a story. It's probabilistic, not deterministic. And I think people really get caught up thinking it's something way more magical. So always have a supervisory role and don't go into anything completely blind.
Completely. Cool. Thank you, Dave. We are coming to the end. It's 3 minutes to 1 o'clock. So just wanted to say we have just put up this morning our next webinar. So it's a practical framework for turning AI into measurable profit. We're still kind of exactly working out what that's going to be, but I think we're going to create a fictitious company and like assess what opportunities exist, work out the return on investment, how much money can be saved, and different types of processes that they might have in place within their organization. So that is looking, that's going to be on Thursday, the 19th of March at midday. So hopefully we'll see you there. We'll send out a recording of today's webinar. I'm going to assess how much damage has been done to my studio here by my 3-month-old puppy. That's quite a lot, I think. Yeah, have a fantastic rest of your day, and thank you so much for visiting. And thank you very much, Dave, as well, for answering all those questions and helping me out when I was a little bit stressed. She's now trying to pull my shoe off. Nice one. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Bill. Cheers, all. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.